Quilting Window. I'm Edyta from Laundry Basket Quilts, and I'm so thankful that you took the time to quilt with me. Today we're going to make some blocks for our Alaska quilt. That's the quilt that is behind me. It is done in blue and lights, and it is just beautiful and so much fun to make. I hope you will do it with me and enjoy it. We're gonna work on our first and a second block. With the first two blocks, we're gonna learn just about everything we need to make this beautiful quilt. Alaska Quilt, the one behind me, is made with Something Blue collection. For the quilt, you need 6 fabrics, 2 lights, 4 blues. The 2 lights, we have a very light one, medium light, we have a light blue and 3 darker blues. When I choose my fabric, I use rule of 5. Big print, medium print, stripes, polka dot, those things really allow me to get a fun variety of my fabrics. So I chose those fabrics for you today, and you're welcome to choose it whatever you would like from your stash. On the back of the pattern, it gives you exact fabric requirements for the 6 fabrics. Sometimes when I want to add a little splash of color to my stash of fabric for Alaska, I select one fabric and replace with another color, just like I did for our Alaska 4th of July. I think you're gonna like this quilt. Today, we're also going to use, instead of cutting my own fabrics, I'm going to use an Alaska laser cut kit. This is the kit that it's already pre-cut. Oh, I tell you guys, so exciting. When you open the box, you're gonna find the directions, what is in the box, and a selection of the fabric and how many pieces you need. And you're gonna find a binding. There is a border here. Look at this beautiful border. And then in the bottom of the box, all the pieces are already pre-cut for you. Isn't that fun? So we're not going to have to cut it. I love also that the kit includes little templates. Those are little plastic templates that are for marking the pieces as you're going to be working on your blocks. So this is what we're going to work from today. Let's see what else we have in our sewing box. We're gonna need a pattern. This pattern, like I said, on the back gives you all the fabric requirements. In the pattern, you have directions for each of the blocks and how to press them and how to cut the quilt. If you're cutting your own fabrics, what I recommend is cutting your fabric into strips. And right in the beginning of the pattern, I explained that. And from those strips, using templates, and you have paper templates in the pattern, or you can purchase additionally beautiful acrylic templates you can cut the pieces with. I like the acrylic templates because they last much longer than the paper one, and they're easy to work from. And also the acrylic templates have little holes where you can mark when you are sewing. So for example, I'm gonna be cutting piece C. I'm gonna cut a strip, and from that strip I will cut all my pieces by just flipping the template up and down. If I would like to cut a piece B, that would be another strip, and I have it already pre-cut here. Again, up and down, up and down, up and down, and cut all my pieces. Diamond A is a little bit different. So what I would cut is a strip, lay my template on my fabric, cut it, shift it, cut it, shift it, cut it. This is really easy to do it if you have a template. So pre-cutting the strips and then keep cutting really will work very nice. I have one more piece to cut. That is a triangle D. This time I place my triangle this way, cut it, rotate, cut it again, and keep rotating just like this and cutting beautiful triangle D for my quilt. Well, I'm gonna be a little lazy daisy and just enjoy my pre-cut kit when we are making the blocks. What else did I place in my basket? It is so exciting. I got a thread, and you can use Orville weight 50. It's gonna be perfect for piecing. 2310 is the color that would work very well with what we have. If you like me and like a little bit more color, this set of threads, it's brand new from Wonderful, have not only your light but all the blues that you can enjoy in this beautiful quilt. And this one calls Royal Blue Diana. How wonderful. So this is from Wonderful. Again, the thread is weight 50 and will work beautifully for piecing and anything else that you need to do. And I placed two more favorite things that I usually use when I work on this quilt. Beautiful pins, those are glass head pins, and my pencil to mark my points. I'm gonna put them close to me. I'm gonna use this quite a bit. If you do not like to press your pieces with an iron, hand presser would work very well to press some of the seams. So I would clean up my space so that way I can start working on my blocks. I have selected the pieces out of the kit, so remember our kit. All of the pieces are pre-cut, so I just took them out and laid them out from my first block. What I love about the laser cut pieces, the edges will not fray because they're laser cut, so they stay a little bit nicer than the hand cut one or rotary cut. I really enjoyed it. I have our first block ready, set, go. Let me lay out the pieces for our first block. We have gonna be block 1. Now I'm going to start the assembly by sewing piece D to piece C. I'm going to grab them and place them right sides together. But now this is my first time I'm doing this, so I worry about it, how to match those pieces so they're nice and even. You can first of all just match the middle of the piece. Or if you would like to, remember in our beautiful kit, we have those lovely little plastic templates. I'm gonna place them right here, and I'm gonna grab one at a time, place it over, grab my pencil, mark a dot, and now I know where the transition points are, where I need to be sewing. So I have mark on this piece, flip it over. I need to do the same thing to my other piece. Right there, piece C, mark, and look at that. Now I know exactly where I need to pin. I'm gonna push my pin through the point that I have marked here, and it should come out right at that point on the back. Pin, let's do this on the other side. Point, let's check. Yep, perfect. Pin. Now I'm ready to sew. I will sew from here straight down, and I will do the same thing to all the corners to piece D and C and sew them together. You will be start sewing right here straight down using your 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can check your 1/4 seam allowance by lowering the needle, measuring, making sure that you're doing the right thing, and you will sew from here straight down. So once I have my pieces all sewn together, let me show you our next step, and we are ready for it. So our next step is going to be, we're gonna push the seam allowance and sew this piece C to the corner unit. So I have few that are already prepared. So look at it, I sewed it, beautiful. Then I open it up, push the seam allowance, and I pushed it towards the darker fabric, just like the arrow shows us. If you do not want to do that, you're welcome to go ahead and open that seam. That will work just as well. This seam and where the seam allowance go will not impact any other seams. I push it towards because I want to have the least bulk in my seam allowance when I'm sewing my blocks together. So that's why I did that. And let me show you how I'm going to add this piece to this piece. So C to the corner unit. I'm gonna take a C, put it right over, match beautifully the center right here, take my template C, place it right over, grab a pencil, mark, mark. Oh, this is so fun. And what is exciting about it is you probably gonna mark first 2, 3, 4, but once you mark them, you're gonna get an idea. Oh, I know exactly how the pieces should overlap, and you're not gonna have to do it again. And again, I'm gonna pin it, and I'm pinning it right here. Oh wow, this looks great. And I'm gonna sew, and you can start sewing from the top straight down if you would like to, or start up from this side and go up. I notice when I go from this side straight up, I come against this seam, and sometimes it flips it, and we don't want that. So maybe starting it from this side, but as you approach the seam, make sure you lift that foot of your sewing machine, even up that fabric, and keep going, and maybe have a little leader in the beginning, so that way your machine is helping it and pulling right through it. All right, we are gonna sew, zoom, zoom, zoom. As soon as you're done, you're gonna push your seam allowance, and your seam allowance is going to go in the same direction. So as soon as you finish, boom, you're pushing that seam allowance just like this. All the seam allowances are going in the same direction, and they have to go in the same direction on every single block, so that way when you sew blocks together, those seams going to lock. It's very important, so I will be reminding you about that. This seam right here, or additional seams in the units, not gonna impact anything, but the seam between the wedges will impact your assembly for the future blocks. So please finish all of those. Another one, place it over, mark, mark, sew, and we are ready for our next step. And I have it already prepared for you. I'm going to sew the 2 quarters together. How did I do that? Let me show you. I have 2 pieces. Seam allowances are going in the same directions. I'm gonna place them right sides together, just like this. I'm gonna push it with my fingers, make sure that my seams are locking, that the center is matching. Really nice. Do you see what's happening? Isn't that beautiful right here? Just like that. And now again, I'm gonna use my beautiful tool, mark, mark, pin, pin, and now you're ready to sew. And did you notice how I put my pins slightly on an angle? Sometimes it helped me to do that, so that way when I come up with my machine, it's easier to pull it away and sew it. So putting that pin on an angle, or maybe putting from this side, it really helps so it's not in my way. I really like those pins because they're very small and easy to pull quickly away as you coming with your sewing machine and approaching that seam. All right, we sew it just like I did here. Flip your seam allowances, they're all going in the same direction, and once your seam allowances are put in the same direction, now it's time to sew 2 halves together. Notice it, we're gonna make sure that the center right here is matching. All the seams are locking right in the center. We're gonna put a pin, and notice that thread. Long time ago, Grandma taught me X marks the spot. Where the crossing of the threads are, that's the X. This is where you're gonna put a pin. You're gonna start sewing from the center to the outside, from the center to the outside, and now you're ready to open things up, and you have a perfect block. But notice this seam, it's undecided because it wants to go one way, so we want to open up that seam in the center, push all our seam allowances in one direction, and now it's time to take an iron and beautifully press around it. If you wanna, you could have been using this little pressing tool to press all of the other seams, but now it's time for beautiful pressing, and I do like to use a little bit of a steam from the back, and when I finish my block, I place it on my ironing board, put a handkerchief over or pressing cloth and press it beautifully from the front. Why do I use a pressing cloth? Because I don't want to shine up the edges on my seams. I want the block to be beautiful, lay nice and flat, trim it to the exact size if needed. In my case, it came out quite close. I like to take a little bit bigger 1/4 inch seam allowance, so my blocks are always a little shy, but because I know that, I know I'm going to be okay. If I am working on something, I make sure I adjust my 1/4 inch that it's a little bit smaller than my blocks stay the right size. But here, our first block finished. Congratulations, you have just learned the basic for kaleidoscope block. Now, I think we are ready for our next block. So what we're going to do, we're gonna reach out into our box and now select the next pieces following the beautiful directions that we have. Remember that chart that I have right here? It says block 2. I can look at the color picture, choose my pieces, or go to my page in a pattern where it calls for block 2, and it tells me you need 3 of D, 5 of this, 6 of that. So I choose and pick and create my next block. Every block you will make 4 times. Only the center block in a quilt, this one, block 13, you will make once. So once you finish a block, you need to repeat it 3 more times. You will get really good in that assembly when you do some chain sewing, because it will allow you to perfect the technique. So now we are ready for our next block, and I already selected the pieces and I have them right here. Let me put them out on a table so you can enjoy it. And we have a new shape this time. We have D and C, but also we have 2 new pieces, A and B. A is a diamond, B is a half a diamond. It's really cute, and this is gonna allow us to make a little 8-point star kind of looking block in the center. So this is super fun. I really like that. So when you're making kaleidoscope, you can break those wedges to all different pieces and create a brand new designs. And this is what I did for you. I created this design so you can have fun and enjoy it. So first step, we're gonna follow the same step that we did in our first block. We're gonna grab a piece C, place a piece D over. If you're now familiar exactly how to center that piece up and sew it, you don't have to do anything else. If you're not, keep marking. Take your little tool, mark point, mark, pin, pin, sew. Now, this time, your seam allowance, you can open again, or you can push towards the center of the block, or follow 101 quilting, push towards the darker fabric. We just finished that step, and now we are ready for our second step. We want to sew this to this and this to this. So A and 2 B's sewn together. How do we do that? I start by placing my triangle B on the A, and I'm gonna take my little template, marking template, place it just like that, mark and mark. I have to do that as well to the diamond on the back. So I'm gonna take my diamond template, place it, mark and mark. Oh, those little dots are really nice guiding, because really help me figure it out where that first piece needs to be positioned. I'm gonna put my pin through my 1 dot that I made it, and I'm gonna make sure that on this side I came out right at the dot. Oh, now it's perfect. I'm going to fold the pin, lay it down, pin it in place, and now I know the first piece. I can tell where it needs to be positioned. So for future pieces, I will always make sure that this end goes right on the edge of my diamond, and I can start sewing from here, zoom, 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 straight out, flip it open, and keep going this way. I will add this diamond to this triangle B to every diamond, just like that. I have one already prepared for you. Let's see how it works out. Right here. Oh, looks good. I'm so excited about that. And I have to be honest with you, the more you do it, the better you get in it. So if the first one don't come out perfect, don't give up. Please don't give up. Just try one more and one more and one more. And what I do is I do some practice pieces in anything that I do. Many times my practice pieces become my little doll quilts and humble beginnings. So I like to do my little practice pieces, and that is so much fun. So I just finished the first one. I'm gonna push the seam allowance towards my B. Why am I doing that? Because when I push my seam allowance towards the diamond, this part become very bulky, and I was afraid that it's not gonna work for me as well for later on for piecing. So I decided this way would be the way. I'm gonna place a second piece, second B right over. What am I gonna do? Yes, you're right. I'm gonna grab a triangle, put it over, mark, mark, pin, and now sew from here straight up, fold it open. Look, I have one already prepared for you. Look at how nice it looks. All of the seams going out. This feels very nice and comfortable for later piecing. It's not too bulky. If I would have pushed everything down, it would have been very bulky at that point for my diamond. So I will repeat this and make 4 beautiful wedges like this. Ready, set, go for the next step. And the next step, you are quite familiar with it. What do you do when you have 8 wedges for kaleidoscope block? You start sewing them together. You sew them into sets of 2. So what are you going to do? You place this over this. Again, if you would like to, you can grab this, put it down, mark, mark, or just basically match up this. Now you know where it's supposed to go. Sew straight out, flip it open. All seam allowances gonna go in the same direction, all going the same direction. And now I'm gonna do the same with this set. Push the seam allowance. Now I'm gonna place it together, lock in the center, lock right here, pin, pin, sew beautifully. And like I said, change sewing will make you feel so comfortable with this. Once you sew it, you're gonna have a half a block. Which way you're gonna push a seam allowance? The same direction. So all your seams, look at all of them are going between the wedges. All of those seams are going the same way. And now you have 2 halves, and you are ready to sew those 2 halves together for a beautiful block. We just finished our second block. Of course, remember, all seam allowances are going the same way. Open the center, and you are ready to press from the back, flip it to the front, put a pressing cloth, beautifully press, and you just made your second block right here. If you like this block, I have a little surprise for you in a little bit with this block. This one may be your favorite if you want to add additional size to the quilt and additional borders. So get good in this one. It's gonna come handy for you. I'm gonna clean up the space, and I'm gonna prepare for sewing my blocks together into a quilt. Once I finish all my blocks, and remember, each block gonna be made 4 times, I'm gonna proceed to lay out my quilt. I'm gonna lay my quilt into rows following the layout in my pattern. Starting with block 1, 2, 3, 4, then notice 3 comes again. You rotate the blocks if you want to position them right way. So this block, you just keep going, finish off your blocks, lay them to the rows, then you have your center right here, and keep going, follow the layout. On the layout, I have marked every block where it needs to go. Once you have your blocks laid out, you need to sew them together into a row. And this is the fun part. It pays off to push all your seam allowance in the same direction on all the blocks, because now when I place my blocks right sides together. Notice how nice everything is locking. Those seams lock beautifully. I can pin it, zoom, 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 sew it straight down, and I have a perfect transition between the blocks. This point worked out very well. And remember, we talk about this. Look at this. X marks the spot right here. Make sure that you stay right there on that X, so that way you don't take the points of your diamonds, and you will sew your blocks together into the rows, and the seams between the blocks will go in opposite direction on each row, so that way they'll lock here very nice. So all this is gonna lock as well as here. When I sew my rows together, I put pins through those points, so that way I sew from here to here, pull a pin out, from here to here, pull a pin out, and keep going that way, so I have a really nice transition. This is so much fun. I'm so glad you take the time and made those beautiful Alaska blocks with me. If you like the blue and white color option, we have kits available on our website, or you can cut your own fabrics and just use the 6 that we talk about it. 4 blues, 2 lights. Remember, the variety of colors give you like the movement in the quilt and the burst, so you want that light. And like I said, you can always replace one of the colors and apply another color to that part of the quilt to give your own look to it. Thank you so much for joining me today to make the Alaska quilt. I hope you enjoyed it. This quilt can be beautiful in any color options. And speaking of color options, I am so excited about our 2 new collection, Braveheart and Evergreen. This could make a beautiful Alaska holiday quilt. I hope you think about it and try something fun and exciting. We have also cut brand new kits, and this is gonna be a perfect gift for the holidays. And this Alaska kit is cut from Braveheart and Evergreen. Please remember to visit our website at laundrybasketquilts.com and sign up for our newsletter. Leave us a comment below, so that way I know which block you would like to learn next. I'm looking forward to more quilting with you, and happy quilting!